So hi everybody, I said it's nice to see you all in 3 dimensions. We only have 1 hour today, right? Because of the tekes, right? Yes. There is officially the teaching is supposed to stop in 1 hour.
So there won't be a Tergul?
What? There will be a Tergul, but the course will end at 1 instead of 2. Okay, so first I wanted to ask if there are any questions regarding what we talked about last time. My voice was very damaged last time, so everything is clear. The exams, the modalities of the exams, yes? Okay. Okay, and everybody has a computer with them today, with Phyton. Good. Because we are such a small group, we will do a short round of names, okay? Because it's intimate, so... Anat. Rachel. Jasmine. Ariel. Raz, I remember from Sadot. David. Shachar. Matan. Ori. Okay, and everybody here has experience in programming? Yes? Is someone here is one of the folks who said they already programmed in Python? No? Okay, good. Okay, so let's start. Do you see my screen? Yes. Yes. And I don't know if you saw on the Moodle, we've put the notes from last time. So the way we will do it is at every course we will put the notes of the course after the course. The notes are in a Python format. It means you can run it. You can either run it from your terminal if you run from the terminal, or copy paste it into PyCharms, okay? And it's the notes are a Python file actually, so you can run the notes, okay? And this should be useful. Okay, so let's start. I will start every lecture by reminding you what we did last time. So last time, is there a way to turn the...
כאילו היית רוצה לכבות פה ולהדליק שם?
לא, הייתי רוצה לכבות את זה. Good. So last time we talked about string, comments, integers and floats. And today we will start going through these topics. I'm not sure we'll do all of them, but at least the list, the dictionaries, and maybe we will touch upon the booleans. So let's start with the list. I didn't... Something I was supposed to print. Okay, let's start with the list, but I forgot my notes in my office, so let's see if we can do without it. And otherwise I will leave you guys for 5 minutes and run to print them, to get them from the printer. Okay, 1 second. Okay, so in the meantime, everybody please open your PyCharm terminal so that we can run things in parallel. Okay, so give me 5 minutes because it's going to be hard if I don't have the notes printed. Okay? I'll be back in 5 minutes. Okay, I'll do it very quickly and then we can start.
היה בתרגול דיפרנס?
אני גם לא הייתי בתרגול, אבל עברתי עליו.
כאילו אני ידעתי את הדברים האלה מראש, אז עשיתי אותם אוטומטית.
אני לא חושב שאפשר בלי זה.
לא, אני אומר שידעתי.
התרגול היה בזום?
כן, לא הבנתי אם התרגול היה בזום, אבל לא ראיתי שום קישור.
התרגול שיש היום הוא לא מוקלט, וביום חמישי הבנתי שזה...
לא, התרגול אבל שהיה פעם שעברה, כשהיה את המפגש המקוון לפתיחה.
כן.
היה בזום את ה... לא?
רק בחמישי.
אוקיי, יס.
כן, והתרגול היום זה כאן, באותו חדר?
לא, ב-105 אתה זמין.
Got technical issues, we try to do without it. It's going to work. I'll be back. Sorry about this.
כדי להגיע לפה שזה מודפסת בבניין.
המעלית ישירה מהתרומה של הבניין המשותף.
לא יודע, נכנסתי ל-202.
202 זה זה.
כן.
יש מעלית בין זה לבין 203.
יש נוסף להגיד בשצים. שזה יהיה נוסף? שזה נוסף יותר. הכל בסדר.
פעם ראשונה שאתם מתחילים עכשיו?
די, כאן את פייתון.
כן.
Okay, let's try again. Okay. So, so a list, maybe you know the concept from other languages in which you programmed. A list is basically a list of items. It can be anything, any objects. We will see when we talk about object-oriented coding with Python that we have this concept of an object. It can be a string, it can be a float, it can be really anything. And lists are very convenient. So we'll have a quick introduction to lists now. Okay, and I really want to... What's going on? Is it going to work today? I hope you had less technical issues when you start. Okay, good. Okay, let's do it. So I'm going to create a list called course, and please try to do it in parallel, okay? Because there are many commands. But if I just show you commands, you're gonna fall asleep in 5 minutes, okay? The idea here is that you try to experience in parallel, and if there is something you don't understand, you can stop me and ask me, okay? We are a small enough group. And then during the tutorial, you'll have time for more elaborated and complex things, okay? So you can call your list anything, okay? I will call it a course, and I will put in this list a list of names of courses. So history, programming, math, okay? But you can do anything, okay? Shachar? You're doing it? Please try, okay? Okay, and I can print my list. Okay, let's run it, see what happens. What's going on here? Okay, you see, so it's printing my list. Now the syntax here is crucial. We have brackets and comma separated stuff, okay? If you put parentheses here, it's something it's called a tuple, which I personally rarely use. It has some advantages, you don't have to use it. Okay, but the syntax here is important. Okay, and
You are at insert mode.
in what?
Insert mode for the text. It like tries to replace things. There's a button on the computer.
I don't understand what's going on.
This one.
Insert.
It's probably a button for a function, something on the computer that is called insert, and it switches it to like if you're on a work or on a no
Okay.
here.
But
No.
I don't know why isn't it
If you're on
working?
something, it like replace. It's supposed to replace it. Something else maybe. I don't know.
Let's and it wasn't doing it when I was.
Yeah, it's strange.
מתי זה קורה? אני אשאר את זה.
So I'm going to do it the good old way. I'm going to do it from my terminal, okay? This is the way I usually run Python, and you can do it on PyCharm, okay? Lots of improvisation today. Okay, so I'm doing my list again. Do you see? Is it big enough? Okay, so my my list is a list of courses. Okay, and now I want to print it. Okay, so it's printing it. And now I would like to ask what's the length of this list. Okay, you remember I think I showed you last time the len command for a string. Okay, and we have a len command for courses, for lists too. Okay. Okay, I showed you last time how to index a string, how to access certain letters in a string. You remember? And you remember that we mentioned that as opposed to MATLAB, the indexes are starting with which number?
0.
0. I didn't show you the funny cartoon about it. I will send it to you this week. So I can access the first item. I see it's very... Maybe here you see better. Yes. Not that much better. Okay, it's here. I want you to be able to see what I'm doing. It's okay? Okay. So we can also slice a list. Okay, so if I want to access the last item, it's going to be -1, okay, like we saw last time for the strings. And if I had a longer list, for example, with 4 items, give me examples of courses. French and English. Okay, so this is my slightly longer list. I can slide it like we did for the string. So if I do this, what is it going to print?
From the French English.
So 0, 1, 2, French English, right? And if I do, let's see if you remember from last time, if I do this,
Only math.
only math, right? Why? Because we saw that the last index of slicing is not inclusive, right? Okay, good. So we can slide, we can index, we can have negative. If I do this, let's try to guess together what is it going to print? Course -2?
French.
It's going to print French, exactly. Okay, so we're good. Okay, there is another very useful way to access stuff in a list. If I want to find the index of a given item in the list, okay? Let's assume I want to find the index of math. So I will use the following commands: course, index, and then parentheses, math. Okay, and it should print what? If it's doing what I want it to do.
The index of the math, which is 1.
Exactly. So it's printing 1. So we're good. Okay? Good. So we saw how to access an index, how to find the index of a specific thing. And I can add stuff to a list, okay? This is what I did higher. I just added French and English. I could have done it more easily without copy pasting with the command append. Okay, so if I do course append, give me a name, the name of a course. Art, maybe. Let's be a bit more. Okay, so let's now print. Okay, so it's appending. It's adding. Appending in programming jargon means adding. So it's adding at the end. The append command is adding this item at the end of my list. Okay, I can also be slightly more clever if I want to append stuff at a specific, to add something at a specific index. So I would use, let's see, I want to insert poetry at index 0. Okay, I don't want to add it at the end. I want it to be added at the beginning. Okay, so I've added poetry at index 0. Okay, good. So there is a very important behavior to be aware of here, that both append and insert, which are the two commands I've used here, they are changing the list. Okay, once I've used them, I don't have an old copy of my list. Okay, and if you do want to save an old copy of your list, you would have to define another variable. For example, course 2 is equal to course 1. Let's insert another course here. Physics. We didn't add physics. Okay. Okay, so let's print course 2. Maybe, okay. Course 2 is equal to course. This is strange. Okay, this is important. So this is basically illustrating the weird behavior that I just mentioned. This is not enough. Okay, we would have to use a command called list. Okay, I'll show it and then I will explain. So I'll show it. Okay, and then new insert 3 physics. Okay. Okay, it wasn't very clever of me because I've used the word physics, but let me show you what happened here. So I've defined a new list called new, okay, and I've used this command to copy course. Okay, once I've done it, I can insert, I can do all kind of manipulation on the list called new. Okay, so here I decided to add the word physics at index 3. So 0, 1, 2, 3. You see that it's been added here. Okay, and then the old list course 0, 1, 2, 3. It doesn't have it. Okay, so does it make sense? The way to, if I conclude what I just said, the minute you use insert or append, it's altering, it's changing your object, it's changing your list. Okay, and if you want to save an old copy of your list, you have to define a new variable. Okay, I first did it in the bold way, which didn't work. So it's good to remember the old way of just redefining a variable doesn't work. You need to use this command called list, okay, where you copy your old list and then you do manipulation on the new one. Okay, makes sense?
It worked to me to copy a list that just b equals a.
What?
It worked in my computer, b equals a.
So do you have Python 3? And it worked, you did b equal a and then changed b?
B equals a, b equals a defined b.
Yes, but then were you able to change b, to modify b? I'm not so sure. Maybe, but probably not. For me it didn't work, and it's probably a matter of Python versions.
Yeah,
It worked? Okay, so it would be good to investigate after what versions you have and what version I have. The bottom line of this, okay, Rachel said. So for you understood, Rachel said that by defining b like new equal course, she was able to change new, and it didn't work for me. So it's probably a matter of Python versions. But the take-home lesson that you need to remember here is that it's not so trivial to change a list. If you want to change it and copy an old version, you need to be careful. Okay? Okay. So there are other functions which are slight variations of the same one called extend. Okay, I'm not. It's basically like appending, like inserting. Let's do it. Okay, so I have this, and let's say I have course 2 equal physics and poetry. Okay, and I'm doing course extend course 2. Okay, so what happened here? It took the two lists and pasted them together. You see? I have this first course, course 2. I'm extending course by course 2, and it's basically merging the two lists. Okay? Okay, and there is another useful one if I want to remove an item from a list. Okay, so if I do course remove math, okay, and okay, I'm removing it, and I've removed math from course, and you see it. So these are all very intuitive, okay? This is the beauty of Python. There are many existing methods. You don't have to reinvent the wheel, and everything is pretty intuitive. And at this stage, it's important that you just are aware of these options and remember the syntax, okay? So that you can reuse it. Good. Now, let's say a few more things about a list. Mostly you will be using numerical lists, okay, lists of numbers. And the moment you have lists of numbers, you have all kinds of methods, functions to sort this list. But let's see first what happens if I try to sort a list of strings. So what happened here?
It switched
the order, okay? And what happened if I use the sort method? Exactly. Okay, so it's
ABC for first
yes,
letter.
it's sorting it alphabetically. Okay.
Will it matter? Is it using ASCII tables for like uppercase before lowercase, or
Let's try. So let's add to course zoology. Okay, so it's in Z and it's a capital, and let's see if it's sorting first alphabetically or by capital. My guess is that it's doing it alphabetically regardless of whether it's capital or not, but let's see. Interesting. So what's your name again?
David.
David. So you see that it's starting by putting the capitalized letters first before sorting alphabetically. Okay? I should say these things are a bit of a curious. Like, I don't think in 10 years of programming in Python for astrophysics that I ever had to sort stuff alphabetically, okay? But the goal here is also to make you play with the methods, the programming, and when you have a questions to get the habit of just trying, okay? I didn't have the answer because it's not something I do on my everyday research to sort stuff alphabetically, but the best way is to simply try and check, okay? This is what we did. Okay, so let's now define a list, a numerical list, okay? So 1, 5, 4, 3, okay? And then if we sort it, let's try to sort it. Okay, it's sorted it in ascending order. You can also sort in reverse order. So you would put the option inverse equal true. Reverse. It's not inverse, it's reverse. Okay, so you see it's sorting it in reverse order. Can you say your name again next to Shachar? Matan, it's working for you?
Yeah.
Good. Okay, so we did ascending order, reverse order, and again, you see that it's altering the original list. My original list is not the list I defined originally, okay? This is important. I keep repeating it because many functions and methods in Python, they do not do it. They do not alter your original, but these things are altering. So this is important to keep it in mind. So let's assume I don't want to alter the original list. I can define a list called sorted nums. Okay, so but this is okay. Did you see what happened here? my list of numbers was 5431, okay? And I wanted to sort this list in a way that doesn't alter my original list. So I use this function sorted nums, tac, okay? Now I have a new list, which is the sorted one, and let's see if my original list is still the same. It's still the same. Okay, so this is the way, the version of what we did before with defining a new list, if we didn't want to alter the old one. Okay?
You have to define num point sort.
Sorry?
You have to define nums dot sort.
This?
Above line 44.
No.
44.
No. Lines 44. No. I don't have.
Okay.
You mean to print it, to show it?
I don't have to write it.
To do this, here I started something new. I didn't have to define it.
Okay.
I don't know if this answers your question. Yes? Tell me your name again. Ariel. Okay. We also have min and max methods, which are very useful. So, okay, the minimum and the maximum. Okay, so these are useful. There are also all kind of operations you can do, but very easy. So this is the sum. Okay, but very quickly, if you want to do manipulation on numerical stuff, you will move to NumPy, what we call NumPy arrays. I usually don't manipulate numbers in lists, but it's important to keep in mind that this option exists. Okay.
Is there a command to remove repeated stuff from a list?
I'm sure there is. Yes. And this is an example of, I'll tell you what I would do in this case. I would just ask Google. It's been answered by 20 different people on Stack Overflow. Not only, it's sure that we're 100% sure there is a command. The question would be, what's the quickest and more elegant one, okay? And I think, so what I would do is to define the list called duplicate, which gives me the duplicate, and then remove, but I'm sure there is a more elegant way to do it. Okay, and this is exactly where I would like you guys to start experiencing, asking Google and Stack Overflow. Did you hear about this website? So it's a website where people answer programming questions. There is an army of people all over the world who answers questions on this website. Someone told me once that if you have a very high grade on Stack Overflow, it can be a very good asset if you want to get a job in Google or anywhere. Okay, so if you're a good answerer on Stack Overflow, but the good thing is that you don't have to ask or answer questions on Stack Overflow because everything has already been asked and answered. So you can just use the knowledge that is already there. Okay, so let's see. Okay, there is one more thing. Did you talk about for loops in the tutorial last time? Okay, so do you know what a for loop is? Of course you do. Okay, so you can do for loops or any loops on lists because lists are stuff you can iterate on. So let's do the simplest one. So it would be for item in courses, print item. Okay, so it's looping. This is looping through the list called course and printing all the item. Of course, I could define anything here, right? I could call it a cat. Okay? Make sense? What I meant is that the variable here can be anything,
It's
as
just
long
a
as
value.
it's the same one here and here. It doesn't have an intrinsic value to it, okay? You can call it a dog, okay? Okay. Now, there is a very, very important way to iterate, which is called enumerate. This is a very important one. Let's assume that I don't want only the items. Let's just remind ourselves what's this listed, okay? So let's assume I don't want only the items in the list. I also want their index, okay? And this is used all the time in Python, okay? So the way to do it is with a function called enumerate, which gives you a handle on both the items and the index. So I'll show you now. So for how do you want to call the index? I, okay. Let's do it with I, but it's important that you have in mind that I could call it a dog, right? So for I, cat in enumerate a course, okay, print I, cat, okay? So this is printing the index and the item. If I want to only print the index, of course I can do it too.
So the first variable is the enumerated, and the second variable is
The first one here is the index, the second is the item. This is a super, super important one. And of course it's not specific to lists. You will be able to do it in arrays too, okay? This way of looping that gives you a handle on both the index and the item is super important. Okay, we can also mix it with what we did last time. The index is
Enumerate
0 and
list.
the item is 1. 1 second. Format I cat. Okay? Yes.
Can you explain again what is the enumerate?
Yes. So, enumerate is something I put before my list here in the loop that gives me access not only to the items in the loop, in the list, sorry, but also to the indexes of the items. Okay? So, I don't want only English, I also want to know that English is at index 0. I don't want only French, you understand? So enumerate, instead of outputting only the item, it's outputting two things. It's outputting the index and the item in the list. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, and then I will finish with on lists with something called list comprehension, okay, which is very specific to Python and not very intuitive, but it's a very cool thing in Python, and you need to know about it. It's called list comprehension, and the idea is that it's basically a very, very compact way to write a list. Okay, so let's try. Let's see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, this is my list. Okay, and I want to write a new list, okay, which is at each position I have twice these numbers. Okay, So usually in most programming language we would have to make a for loop, go to each items, multiply, okay? But in Python there is a very compact way to do the list and the for loop at the same time. So I'll show you. So it goes like this: x times 2 for x in nums. Okay, it's nums 2. Okay, did you see? Did you see here? Do you see how compact it is? The for loop is already inside the list, and it's not very intuitive, but it's very powerful. Okay? So this is called list comprehension.
And if you are using strings, it will multiply the string like on itself, right?
Yes, we saw what happens if you multiply a string. Let's do it. My policy is to just try things, okay? Okay? It was the question clear? He asked what happens if we did the same with a list of strings. That's the same. Okay? Good. I'll show you one last turn strings to lists. Okay, this is enough for lists. Okay, so there are a few other functions in the notes. If something isn't clear, you're welcome to ask me next time. Okay. Now we'll talk about something called dictionaries. So, okay, this we all did. Okay.
כבר רק לחזור שנייה שאני אוכל לרשום את הפורמט קצר.
את ה-list comprehension?
כן.
כן, אני עוד מעט אחזור לזה ואתה תראה את זה. Okay, so dictionaries, I don't know if it exists in other languages. When I started learning Python, it was a very Pythonic thing, okay? So dictionaries are a very cool object that you can really think about it like basically a dictionary where you have two things for each item. You have a key and an item, okay? So this is the key, and this is the item. So the key here is the name. Okay, the idea is that you have a list of things, not a list in the sense of Python, just in the English sense. You have a list of stuff, okay, and each of the items is a pair. One part of the pair is what we call the key. It allows me to access whatever I want to access. I'll show you an example in a second. Okay, so for example, name is David, age is 25. Okay, and the other part of the pair is this other things. And the reason I'm using very vague terms here is that it can be anything. You can have an array here, you can have a list. Okay, both the keys and the items can be anything. Okay, so let's give you an example, and you will develop more these subjects during the tutorial, because today is such a short. Okay, so let's define. I'd like you in the 5 remaining minutes to try it. Okay, so let's call it my dic. Okay, my dictionary. Okay, so it's the way to define it is with these curly brackets. And let's think together, what do we want to define? So let's define the Python course, okay? So number of students okay, is, I don't know, how many are you? 10? Okay. You see this syntax here with the 2 dots? Average age. What do you think your average age is? 22. Okay. Class is 302. Time, but the important thing, all the keys here are strings, but they can be anything. Okay, let's keep it like this. Okay,
What do you mean anything?
it can be a number, so it would just be a bit confusing. But if I want the key to be 1000, I can have a key called 1000, which is a number. Okay, let's try it. Test. Okay, so I now have a dictionary with 4 items. Okay, 3 of the keys are strings, 1 of the key is a number. Okay, and let's see how we access the items. I didn't say that this part is called the value. Okay, the first part is called the key, the second part is called the value. But you see that here the value is a string. The value doesn't have to be a number, and the key doesn't have to be a string. It's just pairs of stuff. Okay? So let's now see how we access things in a dictionary. Okay, we use these brackets, which are not curly. Okay? And I want to know what's the number of students in my course. What happened? I forgot a letter. Okay, so you see it's printing the value of this key. Okay, let's now try to access the key that Rachel suggested. Okay, the value of at the key 1000 is test. Okay, I'll say it again. The dictionary is just a list of items where each item is a pair. Each item is formed of a key and the value. The key is what comes first before the 2 dots. The value is what comes second. Okay? So here the key is number of students, the value is 10. Here the key is average age, the number is 22, etc., etc.
Yes, so that part I didn't read.
The key here is 1000. Why? Because it comes first before the 2 dots. And the value is test. Okay? And then the way to access a value is by calling it by the key. Okay? So to access the value, this one, I would use this key. To access this value, I use this, etc., etc. Okay? So if I want to print a list of the keys, okay, I can use this method. This is printing all the keys in my dictionary. Okay, if I want to print the list of values, this is the list of values in my dictionary. Okay, and it's important to understand that both keys and values can be any objects. Okay, their identity as a key or a value just tells me if it comes first or second in the before or after the 2 dots. Okay, and what happened if a key doesn't exist and I try to call it?
It prints none.
Let's try. So phone. Okay. Now it's complaining that I didn't. Okay, it's giving me a key error. It's telling me phone is not a legitimate key. Okay.
Can I have like multiple values for one key?
you can put a list of values. The answer is no. Okay? For one key, you have one value, but your value can be a list of 1,000 numbers. Okay? But still it will be the one value that is this list. Okay? Okay. There is much more to be said about dictionaries, but it's now 1 minute past 1, and there is an official suspension of the teaching from 1 to 2. So I'll stop here, and the tutors will tell you a bit more about dictionaries today, and we will also say a few more words next time. And in the notes I will put the entire stuff that I wanted to say about dictionaries, so don't get scared if it's stuff that we haven't mentioned yet. Okay? Questions? To manage to listen and try at the same time. It's very important for me that you try for yourself as we talk. So it's important that it works.
חלקית.
Okay. The other option is that I show you stuff and I tell you, okay, now you have 5 minutes to try. I don't know if it's better.
לי כן.
For some it
Achsa.
will be better, for other it will be wasted time.
So we can maybe we can try next time to do it like today, but maybe every 10-15 minutes I'll tell you, okay, now make sure that you try everything we just mentioned and that it works for you. Good. I think we should go, otherwise I will continue to talk about dictionaries.
תודה.
Thank you. Thank you.
תגידי לי שוב בבקשה.
אפשר לסיים את הסף?
הנוטס זה בדיוק הקוד של פייתון של מה שאנחנו עושים. אתה מבין?
זה כאילו יהיה בלם?
תראה, אני אראה לך איך זה נראה.
שאלה כבר של השיעור הראשון.
כבר העליתי את השיעור הראשון. זה הנוטס. זה משהו שאתה יכול להריץ בפייתון. אתה יכול לעשות קופי פייסט של זה ולהכניס את זה לפייתון. זה כל פחות או יותר, אתה יודע, אין פה את הדברים שניסינו וניסוי וטעייה ואת הבאגים הקטנים שהיו. ענת, רחל, אריאל, שחר, תגיד לי שוב? מתן, רז, תגיד לי שוב?
דוד.
דוד